Welcome to our third Sunday upload for our final sermon in the Hebrews series that we've been doing. And it's kind of a catch-all. It's like a finish point. We've done all this amazing study. We've learned more. We've had the hub. We've really got into the text. But this is a point where we sit here and just look back a little bit so we can look forward. So we can look back a little bit so we can look forward. What has this taught us? So we can move forward. Not so we can feel nice about ourselves, not so we can feel all warm and fuzzy, but what are we going to do about it? It's the so what point. So we started by establishing the context of Hebrews. The idea that they were in the final days of the temple. They didn't know that. We know that because we looked back. The temple was destroyed in AD 70. It was 2, 3, 4 years at the most running up to the temple's destruction. Christians were being taken advantage of, were being abused, were being harried, were killed, murdered, crucified in the most horrendous ways. And this Christian community was starting to lose their faith. It says in various bits of it that people started to move away from the faith. And this letter, we don't know who wrote it, maybe Apollos, but this letter is written as an encouragement and a re-establishment of what the Christianity is all about, should be all about for them as a community. In a time of horrendous oppression, what are they going to do to get out of it? I'm going to pick out a few key verses. First one, chapter 3, verse 1, page 1202. Chapter 3, verse 1. Therefore, holy brothers and sisters who share in the heavenly calling, fix your eyes on Jesus. In times of trial, in times of opposition, in times when we find it hard, we always try and look for the quick solution. We always try and look for the latest gadget. This is throughout life. This isn't just church. We always look for the catch-all. I'm rubbish on diets, and I go and have one, I don't have one, I'm on one, I'm on one. But always these things pop up on my phone. You can lose weight in 6 weeks. You can lose 1.5 stone in 6 weeks if you just buy this app. We want that quick solution. We want a solution to a problem. What does this verse say? Therefore, holy brothers and sisters who share in the heavenly call, fix your eyes on Jesus. This is a simple answer with a consequence that echoes in eternity. It takes the situation that they find themselves in and not try and to look up at Jesus and not try and look about, I'm going to do. I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave the faith. I'm getting oppressed, I'm getting abandoned, I'm getting beaten up. What should I do? Fix your eyes on Jesus. The eternal significance of going, I'm not going to try and solve this from my mind and my physical sense. I'm going to look at Jesus. Therefore, holy brothers and sisters who share in the heavenly call, fix your eyes on Jesus. A couple of weeks ago, we had this next key verse, chapter 4, verse 16. I'll find the right page. Chapter 4, verse 16. Therefore, since we have a great high priest who has ascended into heaven, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold firmly to the faith we possess. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to feel sympathy for our weaknesses, but we have one as we are. But we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are. Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. So, number 1, fix your eyes on Jesus. Number 2, realize the situation you're in when it comes to fixing your eyes on Jesus and walk boldly into his presence to receive grace. Again, that sounds really simple, but it has echoes that just go on and on and on and on. The idea that we can boldly walk into the presence of God. Boldly walk into the presence of God. If any other preacher or book or sermon teaches you that this idea that we're horrible human beings, is not preaching the gospel that we find in Hebrews. Whatever situation we find ourselves in, if we fix our eyes on Jesus and boldly walk into his presence to receive his grace, that is what is going to change us, that's what's going to change our community, and that's what's going to change our world. Number 1, fix your eyes on Jesus. Number 2, walk into his presence with boldness. Number 3, chapter 7, verse 17. As somebody told me this earlier on this week, you seem to be besotted with this Melchizedek. And I responded, well, yeah, he's Jesus. I am. So, 7 verse 17, we have, for it is declared you are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. This is Jesus. Melchizedek, the mysterious Old Testament character that we read about in Genesis 14 and Psalm 110, we hear about in Hebrews. Go read those verses again that talk about Jesus being in the priesthood of the order of Melchizedek. It's fantastically transformative. It sets up the priesthood for everybody. We've looked a little bit in 1 Peter 2 about how we step into that lineage. We step into the lineage of being a priest. We also briefly looked at church history, the idea that the Reformation quite rightly put the Bible into the hands of common people, but at the same time kind of threw the baby out of the bathwater with the idea of priesthood. We said everybody's a priest because we don't like the model of priests we've seen. Everybody's a priest. But without realizing when we step into that lineage that Jesus is setting up, we have something to do. We have something to be. We have actions to do, something to be for this world, for each other and our community. At this point, we meet to our final point, Hebrews chapter 10, verse 10, which I think is kind of the hinge point of the whole book. Day after day, every priest stands and performs his religious duties. Again and again, he offers the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins. But when this priest had offered for all time one sacrifice for sins, he sat down at the right hand of God. And since that time he waits for his enemies to be made his footstool. For by one sacrifice he has made perfect forever those who are being made holy. He sat down because his job was finished. His job was finished because his job, for by one sacrifice, he made us perfect forever, those who are being made holy. We're being made holy. His job's done. But the thing is, the flip side to that is, we've got to pick that up. His job's done, now our job starts. He's woven us into this lineage. It is our job to carry on that job of being a priest. Some of us are called and wear the silly collar to do priesthood as a calling specific for our job. But all of us are called to be priests in our lives. That means we have a lifestyle of prayer. That means we have a default behavior of blessing others. That means we need to work and struggle with holiness. That means when we're given the opportunity, we take it and we pray for healing for people. That means we act with humility in who we serve and how we serve. We are the priesthood of all believers. He sits down because his job is finished and our job has started. If you're not finding yourself in a position of being able to bless or being able to pray or struggling with holiness or wanting to heal or service or humility, I'd love to have a chat with you and see how we can actually get that more in your life. But his job is finished. Our job should continue. It's not just up to the ones who work for the church. It is for everybody. So let's do it.